Hi all, it's Catherine Burgess with Burgess Group Compass. We're talking about last week's Boulder County real estate numbers, nationally leading and lagging indicators and what they say about what's actually happening and how that relates to our local market. So last week we had this huge number of new listings, 149, and that far exceeded the last 3 years. Then from an under contracts perspective, it was the same deal. We had 141 under contracts, far exceeding the last 3 years. And so month supply of inventory came in at 1.38 months. And that was sandwiched right in there in our historic normals. So from a price change perspective, we did see that we've had a bump up. So if you recall, early in the winter and spring, we had these extremely low numbers. And slowly, week over week, we've seen a slight increase. We're still below the historic normals, but that slight increase is an indicator that we are getting to a more healthy, balanced market. It's no longer sellers having this extreme amount of power that they were having in those early months of the year. And they are having to be a little bit more in alignment on their pricing than previously. So that is not a bad thing from an overall market health perspective. Then from the total under contract perspective, this was also really significant. Last week we had 2,400 under contracts, and that is above the last 3 years. So all that is to say, we're having more inventory, more under contracts, and our under contracts lead to our solds. So the velocity of our market is continuing. We are not seeing the decrease that some other parts of the country are seeing. From a price band perspective, we had from 0 to $1 million favored sellers slightly, and then from $1 million above favored buyers slightly. But again, we're not seeing some of the extremes that we saw earlier in the year. Then nationally, we have been talking for the last few weeks about how there have been a number of indicators that point to a diminishment of buyer demand in the national marketplace. So the Mortgage Brokers Association has again published more news. So since March 24th, there's been an 11% decrease in the number of mortgage applications. That is a coincident indicator showing what is happening exactly right now in the marketplace. So that's a big deal. Then a leading indicator of a decrease in buyer demand is the number of showings. So the number of showings have gone down nationally, and that's typical for our market in the summer, but in most markets, summer is the most robust season. So we will have to keep watching that to see if there's any increase or if we continue to see a slight decline there. Then there has just been an increase in mortgage rates, and we are above 3% for the first time in the last 10 weeks. That will put some downward pressure on buyer demand. All of this is fairly slight. Nationally, we have seen a 5% increase in the amount of inventory since March. So that is another way that we can tell that there's a bit of a diminishment of buyer demand. So that 5% increase was enormously needed. We were nationally at historic lows for inventory, so that's good news. Then there are some other lagging indicators that will be confusing to you when you hear about them. So you'll probably hear that prices are increasing and days on market are decreasing. And just keep in mind that because those are lagging, we will hear that longer, and we need to be more listening about the initiation of those contracts as opposed to the closing, the ending part of those contracts. Another thing to note is that nationally, our list to sale price ratio has popped up to 2.3% above listing price on average. So that is the highest sale premium ever in the history of the United States. So all of this is to say that nationally, there's this slight decrease in buyer demand. we are not seeing that reflected in our under contract rate, which leads to our sold rate in Boulder County. So historically, Boulder County has outperformed the rest of the nation, and we're seeing that again today. So call us with questions about how to get the best return on investment for listing your home. Buyers, if you want to talk strategy on how to be successful in today's market, we are happy to be a resource. Please like, subscribe, and share, and we will see you again next week.